DIY how to make tablet PCs and other field equipment. Tools you'll need for this project. You need scissors, tweezers, a X-Acto knife, permanent markers, a pencil, super glue, double-sided sticky tape, a razor jaw or similar cutter, and a ruler. Supplies you will need for this project. First, you'll need the printable PDF available in the link in the description box. Jumbo popsicle sticks, coffee stir sticks, several sizes of wood dowels and some wood bits, craft foam, and sandpaper. After cutting out the tablet PCs, I usually do them in strips. Then I cover them with some white clear packing tape. So it'll actually help the ink from the printer from running. Take your time so you get no bubbles or creases. I find it easier to get all these cut out before I start the next step. We'll begin with the horizontal and vertical tablet PCs. We don't need the tip of the jumbo popsicle stick, so I'll make a line and measure down from it 1 inch, and then 1 inch all the way down the popsicle stick. You should get 5 inches. You should be able to get 5 tablet PCs out of a jumbo popsicle stick. Now that we have these measured out, we can start cutting them. This razor jaw thing works really good for this process, but you need to apply a little bit of pressure. And these have a tendency to shoot across the room. But the cut is very clean. Just watch your fingers. We don't need these brown bits, so you can set them aside. We might be able to use them for a different project. And now you have 5 of them. Repeat this process several times, and you'll have plenty to work with. After cutting them out, I usually sand the edges. You can also round the edges by tilting the tablet a little bit and sanding it, and this will round the edges. So make it look more like a tablet PC. Once you get all the edges rounded, give the backside a quick sand, make it look uniform. Now we can move on to the next step. You could either paint these or use a permanent marker to color them. Just take your time. And it can get a little bit messy. If you have any hand sanitizer, it takes off this permanent marker stuff very fast. The green one I painted with craft paint, acrylic paint. And I did another one with the black permanent marker. If you haven't already, you could finish cutting out the graphics. Like I said, I usually cut them out and set them aside so I could use them for other projects. I didn't create any Android or iPhone type of graphics. These are all my custom ones. Now that you have some vertical graphics cut out, we'll cut out a couple of these horizontal ones. Just take your time and cut along the edge, and it should look nice. Now that we have it cut out, we could use a double-sided sticky tape. You could use glue stick or rubber cement. I really like this stuff. It makes it like a sticker, and it's permanent, so it stays in place. Just line up the edges carefully and push it down. Apply pressure so that it sticks. And we'll finish the two vertical tablets, and we're done with the horizontal tablets. If you wanted to add an Adventure Team logo, cut one out and apply a little bit of the double-sided sticky tape. This might be a little tricky, but carefully line up the Adventure Team logo in the middle of the tablet and apply pressure to make it stick. I like it right in the center. Looks great. If you wanted to add a camera, cut out a camera lens. Some of them are small enough you might be able to use a hole punch and punch them out. I'm going to use a little bit of super glue to glue this in place. Although I probably should have used precision super glue instead of this one, but that's okay. This will work. Turn the tablet over, and we'll put this camera lens up towards the top. It'd probably look better if it was covered with tape. And there we have it, a finished tablet. Now we'll start working on this one. I made this to look like it has a OtterBox or a protective case on it. Let's get started. You'll want to print out one of the smaller graphics and kind of trace around it. This is where we'll build start building the protective casing. We'll take some of the coffee stir sticks and glue two pieces down that are about the same length as the tablet, and that they don't come any lower than the pencil mark. Use a pencil to make a mark, and then cut out two smaller pieces. These will go on the side. And a little bit of super glue, and then glue it into place. We'll trim the excess off in a minute. Now that the glue is dried, cut off this excess. Very easy to do with this razor jaw. You could use an X-Acto knife if you don't have one of these. Sand the edges flat with the sandpaper, and you could bevel them too to give them a round shape. Make it look more like a tablet. Use paint or permanent marker to paint it or color it, the color of your choice. I like the black. Now we could put the graphic on, trim it if it doesn't quite fit. Test to see make sure it fits. Perfect. Add a little bit of double-sided sticky tape and push into place. Awesome. This one ended up falling a little bit short. That's okay. I have a plan. We already added the double-sided sticky tape, so I pulled it all the way over to one end. Use some self-adhesive craft foam and cut out a small rectangle. That area that didn't quite fit the screen, we pushed it into place. Now we could use an ink pen to make it look like a button. If you have a small enough one, you could probably put one or two, or one and two on the little buttons. I love using Pinterest for inspiration. I found this Alien vs. Predator game concept and kind of came up with my own version of it. We'll get started building it in a minute. You'll need 3 regular tablets to begin working on this. Glue them together using super glue or glue of your choice. Line up the edges or get them really straight. Save you for having to sand. Set aside and let it dry. Use some sandpaper to smooth out the edges. We want this to be very square. Use a smaller graphics and trace around it like we did before. We'll use the same technique that we did with the protective case tablet, and we'll trim off the excess. This will become the body of the unit. Start sanding the edges. Sand the edges smooth so that these top rails will lay really flush on it. I want to measure out about 1.5 inches. This will leave plenty of room for action figure's hand to go into it. And we're going to use the round part. Cut 2 of these. Glue the first one on the top, the flat end flush with the edge, and the round end about 1/2 inch over. And to glue the bottom one on. And then we're going to lay this down flat so make sure it gets square. Perfect. And we'll take these 2 round dowels. This first one's a large wood skewer. The second one is a little bit larger dowel. And we'll cut them down into place. One will become the handle, and the other one will become, I guess, another handle. This first one fits really flush, so it's easier to glue on. The rails help hold it on. This one's a little bit more difficult to get to stay in place. If you add glue and just kind of set it on a surface, let it dry a little bit, it works. Now that the glue is dry, we're going to make the antenna. This will be about 1.5 inches. Measure your stick, make a mark. Then use your cutter to cut it to size. I'm going to glue this to the back side, that second handle. There we go. Now this is the part where you could customize it. If you wanted to use this wood axle thing, you can, instead of the round. These 2 little wood bits, they're used to cover up screws in furniture. I just use them as building blocks. These really bring the unit to life. This is my prototype. I like the look of this better. I think I'm going to put this little button kind of towards the front to make it kind of look like a camera. Maybe it's a night vision camera or a scientific measuring device of some sort. I'm going to use some acrylic paint to paint it black instead of using the permanent marker. And this can go on pretty liberally. You might want to do a couple coats to make the paint look even. I don't mind if it kind of looks like it's beat up. Makes it have a weathered look to it, or used look. Now that the paint's dry, we could move on to the next step. I'm going to use some double-sided sticky tape to tape the graphic in. Again, if this fits a little too tight, you could always trim the edges to where it fits flush. I'm going to add a little camera lens to the front of it. It's where the tweezers come in handy, is for small things like this. Cut a small piece of self-adhesive foam and stuck it to the top to where it looks like a button. It's finished. Just as an experiment, I glued a tablet to this little wood axle and used the last graphics to create another equipment in all sorts of ways to make other equipments by gluing on pieces or adding them. Experiment and see what you could come up with. If you do, send me a link. I'd like to see it. You can have a piece of equipment to take out into the field. If you're not subscribed, please consider subscribing. Hit that like button if you like this video. Share this video with a friend, and don't forget to collect, inspire, and create. Thanks for watching.